Hello friends. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Now, let's begin. I never really understood the weight of saying it until that first night I had to. Graduating from paramedic school in 2016, they taught me every protocol, every procedure, every vital sign that could save a life. But no one prepared me for the moment when your voice makes it official, when you look at someone lying on the gurney, still, cold, and lifeless, and you say those words out loud. They're gone. I spent my first year working the day shift with Lakeview County EMS in northern Indiana. Mostly minor injuries, nursing home transfers, the occasional fender bender. By the time I was 27, I moved to the graveyard shift, the hours when the truly bad calls came in. Cardiac arrests, overdoses, accidents that left no room for mistakes. Nights when the world feels empty, illuminated only by the harsh glare of streetlights and the sterile fluorescent bulbs inside hospitals. Nights when you see people at their absolute worst. My partner then was Frank, a man in his late 40s with decades of experience. Calm, precise, and unshakable. He taught me how to compartmentalize, how to do the job without bringing it home, how to call it when someone was gone and move on to the next call. I was good at my job. No, scratch that. I was precise. My IVs hit veins others couldn't find. My intubations in the back of a moving ambulance were near perfect. When I said someone was gone, they were gone. No second guessing, no wasted effort. The supervisors loved it. Efficient, professional, calm under pressure. We worked out of Station 14 on the east side of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Unit 92 was our rig, an older Chevy with almost 120,000 miles. But all the equipment we needed, I probably spent more hours in that ambulance than I did at home. Every squeaky cabinet, every stuck drawer, every backup oxygen mask, I knew them all. That cramped back compartment, just me, my partner, and the patients, became my second home. The first time something felt off was on a cold Tuesday in December 2018. We were called to the Crestwood retirement community for an unresponsive man in his 80s. Possible cardiac arrest. When we arrived, it was clear he had been gone for some time. Rigor mortis had started, and his body temperature was dropping. His daughter was there, clutching his hand, pleading with us to do something, even though it was too late. We went through the motions because that's what we do. Compressions, monitor, IV, check for pulse at the carotid and femoral. Nothing. Flatline fixed, dilated pupils. All signs of death. I pronounced him deceased in the living room, noted the time, and we began preparing for transport to the funeral home. That's when Frank noticed it. The man's chest was moving, just slightly. Almost imperceptible. Shallow rises and falls. Maybe 3 or 4 times a minute I double-checked. No pulse, no heartbeat. But yes, chest moving. I looked at Frank. He frowned. Sure, I had misread the signs. But I hadn't. We transported him anyway, and at the hospital, the ER physician confirmed my assessment. Dead. No cardiac activity. Yet, somehow, he had been breathing after I had called it. They wrote it off as residual nerve twitches or a rare diaphragm spasm. Weird, but not impossible. I didn't think much of it until it happened again a week later. This time, a woman in her 70s at the Willow Creek nursing facility. Same scenario. Clearly deceased. Pronounced dead by me at the scene, only to exhibit those shallow, imperceptible breaths during transport. By the third case, I started keeping a log. 6 cases over 2 months, same pattern. Elderly patients, pronounced dead. Breathing again minutes later in the back of Unit 92. Always during my shift. Always in that ambulance. I checked the equipment. Everything functioned perfectly. I wasn't relying on monitors. I was doing manual checks, pulses, stethoscope, chest rise. These people were clinically dead. Yet their bodies continued to fight for air. By January, sleep became a luxury. I replayed every call, questioning my assessments, doubting myself. Was I calling it too early? Missing something? But my review always confirmed I had done everything by the book. Frank retired in February, and I was assigned a new partner, Clara, a fresh paramedic, eager and attentive. I didn't tell her about the breathing incidents. I didn't want to alarm her or have her question my competence. But then, in early March, we responded to a call for a 72-year-old male, possible stroke. When we arrived, he was unresponsive, rigor mortis setting in. I performed my assessment carefully, checked twice, pronounced him deceased, and documented the time. 2:53 a.m. Halfway to the hospital, Clara, filling out paperwork, suddenly exclaimed, "He's breathing." I froze, pulled over, clambered into the back. Shallow chest rises. She looked at me, panicked, searching for a pulse she wouldn't find. I had no explanation. That moment, watching her reaction, shook me more than all previous cases. This was real. Back at the station, we reported the incident. The supervisor listened, skeptical. Soon, I was ordered to undergo a medical evaluation and possibly take time off. Fatigue, burnout, dangerous judgment calls, they said. I argued my case, passed every test, and returned cleared. But the seed of doubt had been planted. I couldn't shake the nagging thought. Was I causing this somehow? Unconsciously? Then I remembered the cameras. All ambulances had onboard cameras installed 2 years prior for liability and quality assurance. Normally, I ignored them, but now I needed answers. That night, I accessed the footage of Unit 92 on my day off. First case, November 2018. I watched myself lean over the patient to check breathing, and my lips were moving, whispering. 2 words repeated again and again. I couldn't hear it, no audio, but my lips formed the same pattern every time. Keep breathing. Every case, every patient. Same ritual. I was whispering, keep breathing, to people I had just pronounced dead. Without any memory of doing so, Clara's case confirmed it. On camera, I leaned down, whispered the words, and minutes later, the chest began its shallow rise and fall. She had witnessed it, but didn't notice my silent words I didn't understand. How could I have done this? Was I sleepwalking? Psychologically fractured? Yet I felt normal, awake, aware. I copied all footage to a flash drive and presented it to the operations manager and medical director. They reviewed it in silence, watching my silent lips move. The medical director asked what I was saying. I admitted I had no memory, only that it appeared to be, keep breathing. They placed me on administrative leave, no shifts, no access to vehicles or credentials. For 3 weeks, I barely ate, barely slept. I researched, hoping for some explanation. Automatism, fugue states, subconscious vocalizations, but found nothing matching my experience. Then came the meeting with 2 neurologists. They proposed I had developed a rare form of automatism, an unconscious motor behavior triggered by the stress and ritual of pronouncing death. My brain created a subconscious ritual, whispering to the deceased as a coping mechanism. The words, a manifestation of anxiety about misjudging. As for the breathing, they believed it never actually happened. Confirmation bias, hypervigilance, slight tissue movements, vibrations from the moving rig. They explained it as illusion, reinforced by my subconscious whispering. Even Clara seeing it was explained by suggestion. I drew her attention to movements, and her mind interpreted them as I did. It made sense on paper, clinical and scientific, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something truly impossible had occurred. I had felt those chests move under my hands, counted breaths, timed them, not imagination. The neurologists recommended cognitive behavioral therapy and a 6-month rotation off night shifts. I accepted. I returned to work, conscious now of my whispering, and it stopped. Completely. Unit 92 was reassigned to another crew. I got a new ambulance. Since then, I've pronounced dozens deceased, checked footage every time. My lips never move. No whispers, no patients continuing to breathe. But sometimes, driving past the old rig in the station bay, I wonder, was it me or something about that ambulance? Those patients, I might have been keeping them tethered, delaying what they should have been released from. The thought terrifies me more than any trauma I've ever seen. Because if I could do that unknowingly, what else am I capable of? What else might I be doing without realizing it? I check the footage obsessively. So far, nothing. But I keep looking, because I've learned the scariest things aren't the ones you see coming. They're the ones you've been doing all along, without ever knowing. People always assume that we paramedics get desensitized, that after enough emergency calls, enough trauma, enough tragedy, we just get used to it. But that isn't true. Some calls never leave you. Some calls follow you. And some calls aren't human. After the night I lost my partner, everyone kept telling me it was just shock, trauma response, guilt, the mind trying to process the unacceptable. I believed that lie. I needed to. But then the voices returned. Not memories, not flashbacks. Actual voices, gasping, screaming, begging, moments before dying. At first it was faint, just 1 or 2. Enough to make me think I was losing my mind. Then more. Dozens. Hundreds. Voices layered over each other like a drowning chorus, each one a desperate cry for help, each one ending the same way. Silence. I stopped telling people, stopped explaining, stopped trying to be normal. My partner at work, Corey, tried to be supportive. But the more he saw me jolt, freeze, stare into nothing, the more he started asking questions. Questions I couldn't answer. Until that night. I was assigned a new ride-along student, Jenna, a cheerful 20-year-old nursing major doing her first EMS rotation. I didn't want anyone in the ambulance with me, especially someone young, inexperienced, and bright-eyed. But dispatch didn't care. Jenna climbed into the passenger seat with a notebook, ponytail bouncing as she settled in. "Any advice for my first night?" she asked. The radio hissed. My skin crawled. A whisper bled into my left ear. A woman's voice, trembling, panicking, choking. "Tell her to run." The breath in my lungs froze. I looked at Jenna, smiling, completely unaware, and said nothing. I couldn't. What was I supposed to say? She laughed nervously. "Wow, you're intense." If only she knew our first call of the night was a simple fall. Elderly male, ground level, no LOC. Routine, predictable. Except the moment I stepped out of the ambulance, I heard another voice. Male, young, terrified. "I can't breathe. I can't." Then silence. I scanned the scene. Nobody else around. No one matching the voice. Jenna noticed my sudden stillness. "You okay?" I nodded. Lie number 1. Back in the ambulance, Corey tried casual conversation over the radio. "How's the new kid?" Before I could answer, the radio glitched, the speaker letting out a distorted crackle. Then a voice, childlike, gasping, came through the frequency. "Help me. Please. It hurts." Jenna froze. Corey froze. I recognized it instantly. The voice from the parking lot. The one that had whispered, "Can't breathe." But dispatch hadn't sent out any new call. No address, no location. Nothing. Just the dying part. The worst part. Jenna swallowed hard. Is that normal? Again, I lied. Faulty radio. But the tremor in my hands betrayed me. Every hour, another voice. Different age, different language, different tone. All of them dying. All of them asking for help seconds before their last breath. And all of them before the actual 911 call came in. I had never told a soul about this part. The voices didn't just echo the dead. They predicted them. Hours, minutes, sometimes seconds before their real death. And tonight, for the first time ever, the voices were coming faster, louder, clearer, like something was moving closer, like something was hunting. And then, at 2:13 a.m., everything changed. A new voice came through, soft, female, barely above a whisper, not panicking, not gasping, not dying, just speaking. "Tell her to stay with you. She has 1 hour left." My heart stopped. I knew who it meant. I looked at Jenna. She smiled at me across the console, tapping her pen against her notebook, completely unaware that something in the dark had just marked her. And that's when part 1 ends. Jenna didn't notice my face go pale. She didn't hear the whisper. She didn't feel the cold air sweep through the cabin like a warning. She just kept scribbling notes, smiling like the world was normal. But I knew better. When the voices give a time, it means one thing. Someone's about to die, and that someone was sitting right next to me. I forced myself to stay calm, forced myself to breathe, forced myself not to look terrified. But my hands were shaking. Inside my head, another whisper followed. The same woman. "If she leaves your side, she won't come back." I swallowed hard. "Jenna," I said softly, "whatever happens tonight, just stick close. Okay?" She gave me a strange look. Sure? Why?" I couldn't answer. How do you explain to someone that the dead are giving you a countdown to their death? At 2:31 a.m., dispatch came alive. "Unit 42, report of a young female unconscious at Lincoln Park restroom. No further details." A chill drilled straight through my spine. Young female, unconscious. Jenna looked at me. My blood went cold. "Should we take it?" she asked. I didn't want to. Every instinct screamed no. But protocol forced me. Lights. Siren. The ambulance sliced through empty streets. But halfway there, the radio cracked again. This time with a male voice. Rough, breathless. "She shouldn't see me!" Jenna jumped. What was that?" Corey stared at the radio, confused. "We're not on scene yet. Who patched through?" Nobody did. Only I knew what that voice meant. He was close. The one I started hearing months ago. The one whose voice came before the worst calls. The one whose breath felt like ice sliding down my neck. We reached Lincoln Park. Empty. Silent. Only the old concrete restroom building stood under a flickering street lamp. The door was cracked open. Corey grabbed the trauma bag. I grabbed the AED. Jenna followed behind us. Every cell in my body was screaming at me to turn back, to run. But I pushed forward. Inside the restroom, the smell hit first. Cold, metallic, wrong. We found the girl on the floor. Early 20s, shallow breathing, pale, clammy skin. Possible overdose. Simple call. Except, the moment I knelt beside her, a voice erupted inside my skull, so loud I thought my head would split. "Not her, the one behind you!" I froze. Slowly. Terrified. I turned around. Jenna stood there, confused, waiting, innocent. The voice wasn't warning about the patient. It was warning about Jenna. I checked my watch. 3:13 a.m. Exactly 1 hour from the first warning. No. This wasn't happening. Corey, get her oxygen ready, I said. I pulled Jenna aside. Listen to me carefully, I whispered. Do not leave this room. Do not walk away from me. Don't go anywhere alone. Understand? She blinked. No, I don't understand. What's happening? My chest tightened. The voices started overlapping. Dozens of whispers, dozens of dying breaths, all of them saying the same thing. She's next. While we were lifting the unconscious girl onto the stretcher, the lights flickered. Once, twice. Then every bulb in the restroom went dark. Pitch black. I heard Jenna gasp. Corey cursed. And then, a shape formed at the far end of the room. A shadow, taller than any human, darker than the darkness around it, like it was carved out of something deeper than night. No features, no face, just a silhouette. And it was staring right at Jenna. She didn't see it. But I did. My lungs seized. The shadow drifted closer. Slow. Silent gliding. Each step made the air colder, heavier, thicker. The voices crescendoed. Don't let it touch her. Don't let it touch her. Don't let it touch her. The shadow reached out a long, impossible arm, thin like a branch, stretching toward Jenna's shoulder. I moved on instinct. I grabbed Jenna by the arm and yanked her toward me so fast she yelped. At that exact moment, the shadow's hand passed through the air where she had been standing. The temperature dropped 20 degrees in a heartbeat. The light snapped back on. The shadow vanished. And then the girl on the stretcher gasped awake, screaming like she'd seen hell. We rushed out of the restroom with both patients. Jenna was shaking. I was shaking. Corey didn't understand a thing. As we loaded everyone into the ambulance, the radio clicked one last time. A voice whispered, the same voice from the beginning, the woman's. You saved her. For now. Then silence. The air warmed. The night went still. Jenna sat in the passenger seat, staring at me, eyes wide with fear. What did you see back there? She whispered. I wanted to tell her the truth, but all I said was, something that wasn't supposed to choose you. Her breath trembled. Is it over? I didn't answer, because I could still feel something watching us from the tree line, and in the rustling of the leaves, I heard a new whisper. One of you is next. County Ambulance Service hired me right after I became a certified paramedic in 2012. But by 2018, I'd seen enough crushed metal and broken bodies to know when something wasn't right. And Route 34, just outside Bakersfield, wasn't right. Not anymore. It was a dead-straight rural road. No curves, no blind spots, no wildlife crossings. But between mile marker 18 and the old grain elevator, the highway behaved like a magnet for death. Single vehicle collisions, always between 2:30 a.m. and 4 a.m., and always the same pattern. A sudden violent veer to the right. No debris, no animals, no reason. My partner, Ethan Briggs, an old veteran, would always go quiet whenever dispatch sent us there. Grip the steering wheel tight. Eyes forward. Not a single word. I never asked why. A silver Dodge pickup was folded around a telephone pole like it had been wrapped by a giant hand. Driver dead instantly. The trooper kept insisting the guy must have been doing 80. But the skid marks. They told a different story. The driver had swerved hard right to avoid something, except there was nothing to avoid. A red Toyota Camry. Rolled 3 times. Driver? Young woman, early 20s. Ethan and I fought for her life for 20 minutes. She still died. And worse? She'd crashed within 30 feet of where the pickup hit. Same direction, same violent veer, same time window. I tried to explain it away. Bad road, optical illusion, anything logical. But Ethan just nodded silently. He didn't buy it, and neither did I. A white Ford Explorer. 2 people dead. But this time, something else caught my eye. 20 yards up the shoulder, half sunk in weeds, stood a small white wooden cross. One of those roadside memorials. The name barely readable. In memory of Claire Hutchkins, 1989 to 2013. My stomach tightened. Claire had died 5 years before our first recent crash, at the same spot. I didn't tell Ethan. It felt stupid at the time, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. 3 days later, I was in the county library digging up old newspaper archives. After hours of scrolling microfiche, I found it. Claire Hutchkins died at 2:50 a.m. single vehicle. Sudden veer right. No skid marks. No reason. Exactly the same pattern. That's when I started keeping a notebook. Every call coordinates. Time, weather, impact angle, vehicle type, everything. And with every entry, the pattern became clearer. Every crash fell within a 100-foot radius. Every impact pointed directly toward Claire's memorial cross. Every accident happened between 2:30 and 3:15 a.m. But the real horror came later. Late September. I pulled up the dash cam recordings from our ambulance responses. And on every single night, right before we reached the crash site, there were flashing emergency lights on the right shoulder for just 1 second. A quick strobe, then gone. But there was never any other unit ahead of us. No trooper, no ambulance, no tow truck, no one. And the location of the flash, exactly where Claire's cross stood. When I showed Ethan, he finally told me the truth. Back in March, after the first accident, he'd walked past the cross and noticed something strange. The flowers on the memorial looked fresh, but when he checked again 6 weeks later, they looked months older, aging faster than time should allow. That's when we went to see Sergeant Brianna Wolf, a veteran state police investigator. 1 week later, she brought a thick folder to our meeting. Her findings chilled me. 19 fatal accidents in the exact same spot between 2013 to 2018, all within the same 100-foot radius. All single vehicle, all between 2:30 to 4 a.m. Then she showed us Claire's full case report. Claire had actually called 911 4 minutes before her crash. She told the dispatcher, "I see emergency lights on the shoulder. I think someone needs help." Those were her last words. When responders arrived, her car was wrapped around the pole, and then Brianna pointed to the last note in the report. The pole Claire hit had a solar-powered temporary warning beacon installed. A bright white strobe, it malfunctioned frequently. But according to county records, that beacon was removed 48 hours before Claire's crash. So what light did she see? And what lights were we seeing 5 years later, October 11th, 2018? The night everything broke. It was 2:41 a.m. when dispatch called. Unit 7, possible rollover on Route 34, near the grain elevator. Ethan didn't speak. He just nodded, jaw clenched, face pale. As we approached that cursed stretch, the radio crackled again. Caller reports seeing emergency lights, but no units confirmed on scene. My heart stopped. Again? 10 seconds before reaching mile marker 18, the dashcam picked up the same impossible sight, flashing white strobe lights on the right shoulder. But this time, they didn't blink out. They stayed. Solid. Bright. Calling to us. Ethan whispered, "It's closer than before." I didn't want to look, but I did. And that's when I saw it. A silhouette stood right beside Claire's cross. Not a person, not a shadow. Something in between. Head bent, arms hanging slightly away from its sides, as if suspended by invisible strings. Every time the strobe light flashed, its face changed. Flash blank. Flash. Open mouth. Flash. No eyes. Flash. Grinning. And then the headlights hit it. There was nothing there. But the flashing light remained. 50 yards ahead, a black sedan was sitting diagonally across the road. Engine running. Driver door open. No one inside. No sign of a crash. No skid marks. Just abandoned. As we approached, the strobe light shifted. It slid across the road, like someone dragging a spotlight through fog, and locked directly onto the sedan. Ethan whispered, "It's showing us something." The last thing I wanted was to get out. But protocol demanded it. As soon as I stepped onto the pavement, the radio exploded with a woman's scream. Not static, not interference, a blood-curdling scream. Then a whisper layered over it. "Help me. I see the lights. Please." "Not again." Ethan grabbed the handset and yelled, "Dispatch, who is that? Identify!" Dispatch responded, "Unit 7, we hear nothing. Repeat, your channel is silent." But we heard it. Loud. Raw. Begging. And then, "He's here." Silence. I felt something cold brush the back of my neck. We found the missing driver 30 feet into the field, walking in slow circles, talking to the air over and over. Greater than, "I saw the lights. I saw the lights." They said stop. They said, "Help." When we approached, he turned sharply, eyes wide, tears streaming, and whispered, greater than, "She told me not to follow him." Ethan froze. "Who?" he asked. The man pointed toward the road. The girl with the broken face. My blood turned to ice. Claire. As we reached the road again, the strobe light suddenly jerked sideways, unnaturally fast, and hit us directly. The moment it touched us, the world went silent. The wind, the insects, the ambulance engine, everything. And in that dead silence, the figure appeared again. But this time only I saw it, standing in the middle of the road, facing me, head tilted, arms limp, chest rising and falling like it was breathing without lungs. I blinked. It appeared closer. I blinked again. Closer. I blinked a third time. Its face was inches from mine. No eyes, no nose, just a gaping mouth, wide open, like it was inhaling me. Ethan tackled me back into the ambulance. As the door slammed shut, the strobe light suddenly burst, like a giant bulb exploding, and everything went black. When my vision cleared, the figure was gone. The strobe was gone. The cross stood alone, silent, and the wind returned. State police shut down that stretch of Route 34 for 3 weeks. Every accident report from 2013 to 2018 was re-examined. Dashcam footage, 911 calls, witness statements, and one chilling detail connected everything. Every single driver reported seeing emergency lights moments before veering off the road. Lights that didn't exist. Lights that we saw too. Lights that Claire saw before she died. But the most horrifying discovery was this. In Claire's old phone records, her last outgoing call to 911 had a second audio channel, a whisper, a voice behind hers. 3 words, "Come to me." County officials permanently rerouted Route 34. The old stretch was closed, fenced off, and left to rot. But the cross? It's still there, and locals say that between 2:30 and 3:15 a.m., you can still see the flashing light. Calling, beckoning, waiting for another accident. Because whatever is on that road isn't done yet. Not even close.